Hello and welcome to Non Sequitur News for July 21st, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 203. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the Sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
Today we're going to be talking about Rover snuffles out Pure Sulfur, free coffee decline, the secret menu is a lie, London pop-up spy room, luxury cook for dog named Lord Beef, Amazombies, hybrid working office towers. That one's hard to actually say, and it's my title. Parking tickets are a cash cow. Moo. Get paid to jump through application hoops. And GPS plus AI to boost cancer detection rates, specifically in the UK. That and more on the other side of Everything is Powered by ohmTown.com. Go over, become a citizen. All right, folks, we actually do 7 shows today. I am going to try to make it through all 7. My voice may go out, and so I'll have to postpone the later shows, but we have a lot of really fun news, so I hope that my voice survives. All right, folks, want to get into today's articles?
I do.
No preamble. Oh, hey, look what I did. If you do this over in twitch.tv/ohmTown, you can type in NSN. It's supposed to work on YouTube, but YouTube might be a little quirky. It does show up in my feed though. So anyway, if you type in !NSN, it'll give you all of the show notes for today's show and all of the shows actually. If you do !show notes, it'll give you the syntax needed to pull up the show notes for each show that we have on the weekends. !NSN works for Non Sequitur News every day because we do the show every day. And the other shows are only once a week. Today, Sunday, we basically do 7 hours worth of show. All right. Now, the last thing is if you hit !pod, it will give you the links to the podcasts. Because each one of these shows, we don't edit, we throw live over to Twitch and YouTube, and then each episode gets turned into a podcast. So if you don't want to stream it from somewhere, then you can download it and or stream it from wherever you catch pod, because we're syndicated everywhere. All right, let's get into these articles. They're supposed to be pretty good, I was told. Yeah, I don't know who puts all of this together, but it's me.
I know, I think you might have had a hand in that.
But I almost judge a book by its cover. If it wasn't for the fact that I and we combined have some experience with some aspect of every article we talk about, it's almost like a judging it by its cover, but it's an educated guess that the material is going to be pretty interesting. Let's get into it. The first article is over in Technology Today, which is actually one of our shows later today. NASA's Curiosity rover accidentally uncovered pure sulfur crystals on Mars. So NASA scientists say pure sulfur has been found on Mars for the first time after the Curiosity rover inadvertently uncovered a cluster of yellow crystals that it drove over, when it drove over a rock. And it looks like the area is filled with it. It's an unexpected discovery while minerals containing sulfur have been observed on the red planet. Elemental sulfur on its own has never been discovered there. It forms only in a narrow range of conditions the scientists haven't associated with the history of this location, according to NASA. So,
okay, that's interesting.
Aliens. This is pretty interesting. So, but hold on a second. Is that... I need to read a little bit more about it. Cheyenne McDonald over at Engadget.com put the article together, but the deck statement says it shouldn't be there, so now we have to explain it, one project scientist said. And they've got this picture. I don't know, this must be the picture, but either it's not color corrected. Okay. So it looks like the area is filled with it. It only forms in a narrow range of conditions. Curiosity cracked it open on May 30th while driving in a region known as the Geddes Vallis Channel, where similar rocks were seen all around. The channel is thought to have been carved out by water and debris flows long ago. Finding a field of stones made of pure sulfur is like finding an oasis in the desert. It shouldn't be there, so now we have to explain it. And look at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's one little piece of it. It's going to be interesting to see what they think. I mean, could something like volcanic activity create this or no?
I'm not sure what all of the conditions are, particularly on a foreign planet, but let's see real quick. Hold on a second. That silence is... Yeah, so in most cases, sulfur is separated from other gases as hydrogen sulfide. Partial burning of hydrogen sulfide into sulfur dioxide, which subsequently turns into sulfur. So where did it get the hydrogen sulfide? So that it could become elemental sulfur. It's caused by the Claus process.
Yeah, but how is that being done and by whom?
And by whom? Aliens. It's always like aliens. When in doubt, aliens. So I'm sure that the process that we do here is artificial, but it's representative of what would go on either in a place that has an atmosphere and then it loses its atmosphere under pressure, and then this forms either on the surface or through whatever cosmic impact drives it up from underground. It's kind of interesting. You can just barely make out the yellow hue of the sulfur.
Yeah, it's not very prevalent in this photo, but it is there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it says, after spotting the yellow crystals, the team later used a camera on Curiosity's robot arm to take a closer look, and the rover then took a sample from a different rock nearby, as the pieces of the rock it had smashed were too brittle for drilling. So yeah, it's interesting that the rover's weight alone was enough to shatter this thing. So really, how strong is Mars? It seems like it's just
like it's crumbling like a cookie or something.
Yeah, really. Pretty cool. Yeah, so it used the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer to verify that it was elemental sulfur. Huh. Cool. All
Very neat. I love that we're making accidental discoveries of entire elements.
It's how a lot of science is made. Hey, let's see if these two things work together, and you end up with soy latte. Anyway, the next article is over in Hedge Ideas. The decline of free coffee.
Is that why the latte comment was made?
So, how is that actually pronounced? It's got to be that soft, like French, right? It's pret a manger, something like that.
Manger, I believe. I don't think you say the R.
Oh, really? Manger. So, has become the latest coffee chain to row back on its generous subscription scheme. Lucy Clark Billings over at BBC.com put this article together. Especially now, Our Coffee Daily, which in some places is closer to... I merged closer and places into places. I'll be okay.
Very close.
Yeah, or clays. So the price for coffee is somewhere around £4 in the UK nowadays, rather than £3. High street coffee shops enjoy offering us a deal too, especially if we buy into their loyalty models, which until recently seemed nearly as attractive as a silky smooth latte. Yeah, there is one place near ohmTown where you can get a monthly, it's a monthly subscription for $10, but you can go in and get your own cup of joe like every day. And I think maybe multiple every day. You can just go in. There's another place where you can get French fries, but it's a little bag of French fries for $10 a month. And you just like swing by, you fill up your gas and walk on in and get a little bag of French fries to perk up your day, and it's almost as bad as a drug habit, for crying out loud. So
It's probably more addictive.
yeah, and it's probably worse for you too, depending on
But we're
what it
not
is.
saying go out and do drugs. We're just saying keep the French fries in moderation.
There you go. That's right. Don't do drugs. And if if your dealer has a subscription,
I mean, it is the 21st century.
yeah, really, bag of weed subscription. There's so many, and now I'm spiraling down this road of wanting to talk about that. I wonder, could it? No, I can't.
Oh my goodness.
What kind of a .com would you have for that? No, I won't do that. Okay, anyway, so from September, is it? Would you just say Pret or Pray or Pet or how's it?
I don't know. Pret a manger, maybe.
Well, I quit. Well, anyway, the coffee shop will offer up half-price coffees a day for £10 a month, which it says will continue to be the best offer on High Street. The change also ends the 20% discount on food for subscribers. So you've been paying into this wildly popular subscription, and now for your loyalty, you're going to get punched.
You're going to get cut off.
Yeah. Well, everything old is new again, and canceling stuff. It's like a beta test, right? No, we're done. You've been running it for 10 years. There's kind of an expectation of performance. But the Supreme Court has said that there is no expectation of performance from a company. They're not required to actually perform even a live service that somebody has bought into in good faith. So stop killing games.
Stop killing games.
Stop killing coffee discounts. But everything is... Look, and I'll remind everybody, 5 years ago, I was told the era of free food or cheap food is over, and this is going to apply to everything. Something is going on wherein food is now being cash cowed. It's the golden goose, basically, and everybody is raising their prices at the source level, and thus prices are going up all the way through the chain. But frankly, as is discussed in many corners of the internets, it's primarily greed, because the margins are still extraordinarily high, and companies are extraordinarily wealthy, and mergers and acquisitions are concentrating that wealth. So it says, you mess about with loyalty schemes at your peril, warned retail expert Catherine Shuttleworth. And I will rebut that with saying, every single time, people won't care. People will just come back eventually. Why? They want coffee. They haven't hit that bulk rate yet where people are like, well, I'm not gonna.
Coffee is one of those things that people will hold on to dearly, right? Like, it's like all the prices were going up, and then coffee, I figured that was going to be the thing that was going to cause the uproar. But at some point, you're going to get enough uproar that people are going to take it to another business.
See, but apparently it's not government, so it's not that big of a deal. Corporations just get people bent out of shape, but then they come back because the corporation is still offering it up, right? And they're not a representative of the people. So, some people will walk and go somewhere else, but there's still enough wealth being made that the business will still go. And I think that, websites like Reddit are part of that dynamic where they basically go, no, you'll be back. We know you'll be back. You can't walk away. So commercially, this makes a load of sense for Pret, but the reaction, it plays into the hands of their competitors. And that's what you said, AI. Customers went from needing 8 stamps or beans on their loyalty cards to qualify for a free drink to needing 10. At the end of 2022, Starbucks announced more loyalty points would be required to redeem many of its menu items. Customers who enroll in the chain Starbucks rewards program, earn points when purchasing food or drink now requires 100 stars, doubling the previous price of 50 stars.
Wow. I mean, that's really significant. Do you think they're starting to get toward the like Birkin bag level of loyalty?
Yeah, we're spending way too much time together. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, we're spending way too much time together. So the cost of Arabica beans has soared in recent years because of the impact of climate change in countries such as Brazil and Ethiopia. Yes, we've actually seen that. But soaring for beans, look, the price that they were getting for beans at the source was pennies, fractions. The wealth was still concentrated in the distribution channel out of Brazil and Ethiopia, not the pickers. They're not being made rich. It was the supply chain side on I want to say terrestrial borders, but it's not because we're out in space. On like North American shores, that's where the money started really getting accrued. The industry is also still grappling with high energy and utility bills. Solar, wind, other energy sources exist. And breaking it up instead of it all being housed by one organization, and when they decide to pull a plant offline, prices go through the roof. It says, but if there's one party losing out, it won't work. And the big question is, was this commercially viable for Pret? They suspect not, but it is a cash cow. It's drawing people in, and they're buying tertiary things when they come in, not just the coffee. And those that do get tired of it, and they move on because that's the only thing that they're going there for. And that means it's pennies for what they're getting each day, the number of people. Now, if you extrapolate at that, the cost is pennies. The revenue loss, yes, only because if you calculate it at, well, it was a $5 cup of Joe for the retail side, yeah. But at the purchase price, right, before you put it into retail, the company buys the coffee, they make the coffee, they pour the coffee. The cost of goods sold is $1.50, right? It's $5 at the counter because they want a massive profit off of it. It's like concessions at a movie theater. That's the problem here. You can go in and be given a cup of coffee real easy. The person at the counter can just wave you off. See ya. That happened to me yesterday. Not a big deal. Why? Because it's pennies. But the loyalty, the draw is more important because I'm going to be spending more money elsewhere. Anyway, I spend a lot of time on this. But the real issue here is greed. And they think that they're going to be making more money by breaking the loyalty line. And
not
honestly,
if they lose all the customers in the process.
I don't think
or
they will.
Buy less coffee because everything is going up in price.
Yeah. The customers are going to suffer. That's really what it comes down to. But I don't think that the coffee company is going to lose out. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. In-N-Out workers tired of fake secret menu orders like monkey style. Animal style is real. Doggy style is not. I don't know why they throw that in there. That's the deck statement by Matt Novak over at Gizmodo.com. So monkey style doesn't exist. Animal style is apparently real. And this is the original In-N-Out, not In-N-Out.
It's not the knockoff in Mexico.
Yeah, that one is not in existence, apparently. So if you've ever been to In-N-Out, you probably know that there's a secret menu that allows you to order customized burgers and fries that don't appear on the official menu, but thanks to the internet, there are social media users that are a little confused about what actually is on that secret menu. In fact, influencers are spreading bad information. So you can actually, there's 6 secret orders that you can get made. So double meat is 2 patties, 3x3, 4x4, grilled cheese puts 2 slices of cheese, and no beef patty. That I've never even known. That's interesting.
Well, I don't know why they don't just put these things actually on the menu. I mean, it's kind of neat when there's a secret menu, but if it's been around for like the whole company's existence, maybe just add it to the menu.
Because it's not cool. Yeah. And then animal style fries or burgers cooked in mustard and topped with extra pickle, extra sauce, and grilled onions. I didn't know that it was cooked in mustard. I knew about the grilled onions. It was animal style. And I've ordered it animal style. I don't remember mustard being a key element in it. Interesting. So what fake menu items have people been ordering? For starters, some people have been ordering something called doggy style fries, which they say means the fries are topped with cheese and hot dogs that have been chopped up. One big problem with the item is that In-N-Out doesn't serve hot dogs. Then another fake
Minor
order.
detail.
Yeah, it's like going to McDonald's and ordering, or going to Burger King and ordering a Big Mac.
Which probably happens every day.
Or getting your colonoscopy and asking for a Big Mac. So anyway,
or going to Pret a Manger and ordering a Frappuccino.
Is that how it's pronounced? I don't know. You're the Sentient AI from the future. You should have told me. You're supposed to keep me safe. Come on. All right. Well, anyway, SF Gate notes that monkey style hoax dates back to at least 2013. So that monkey style is animal style fries are added to your burger. Just stop. I miss In-N-Out. That was a pretty good burgers. Anyway, let's move on. Got to play catch up. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech, which is another one of our shows. Was that other thing in it? Oh, Mobile isn't one of our shows yet. I mean, it's one of our channels on ohmTown.com, but not one of the shows that we netcast or stream. Netcast is a dead term, by the way. It actually never happened. It's like fetch.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah. So a London pop-up spy room pays homage to Goldfinger and Bond's Aston Martin DB5. That article is over at autoblog.com. Stephen Williams is the author. House of Q features a hidden entrance, production artifacts, and champagne.
I'm not sure that's how that's pronounced.
Get out. So for the majority of James Bond movie fans, Goldfinger still resides as one of the top of the list. Moreover, the movie introduced what has been called the world's most famous car, the Aston Martin DB5, that would go on to appear in multiple films. Because of this, it landed Goldfinger at one of the top of their list of James Bond movies ranked only by their cars. Goldfinger is celebrating its 60th anniversary, and to celebrate it along with Aston's equally long association with the 007 franchise, the brand has created a so-called House of Q pop-up gathering place inside London's historic Burlington Arcade. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, Burlington, but a stone's throw away from Piccadilly. This glimpse into the world of Q, the head of top secret technology inventions and creator of the Aston, is open to the public now through August 4th. So you've got a couple of weeks. Pretty cool. To access the secret spot, visitors have to enter through a secret door disguised as a magazine newsstand at House 12 and 13, or 1213, which is so Harry Potter.
It absolutely is, but I wonder if that's from the movies.
Oh, I don't know about through a secret door for sure, but whenever I see something like just charge into that
like
door,
9 3/4.
Yeah, it's just so House 12-13. I don't know how that's actually pronounced like locally, but anyway, this is pretty cool. And so they have these pictures show. Is this inside the inside? Like House of Q is on.
It's inside the arcade, and then it's a whole bar in there, which I assume was already in existence and they converted for this. But if they developed all this for just a few weeks, this is pretty insane.
Wow, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I dig this. So The DB, or David Brown 5, also owned Aston in the 1940s and 50s, was launched at the Frankfurt Motor Show only a few months before the movie debuted. It was basically what we'd call now a mid-cycle refresh of the preceding DB4. It ran a potent 4.0 liter engine and a top speed of more than 150 miles per hour, pretty speedy for the production of the time. Italian
I would have definitely called it a mid-cycle refresh of the DB4.
Yeah, that's what when I think DB5, I think David Brown, 1940s and 50s, and mid-cycle refresh. That was the first thought I had when I woke up today to do the show. Moving on. Slowly, apparently. Come on, Ark. Come on, Ark. All right. Like a sinking ship. Ark, get it? Anyway, non sequitur news. That's this show calling animal lovers make $900 as a luxury cook for a dog named Lord Beef. From Disney fish to champion horses, these unusual tasks are perfect for animal lovers looking for extra cash. Yeah, I don't think the video has anything to do with this, but the article's over at newsweek.com. They have to have a video of some kind. Alice Gibbs put the article together. Company founded in 2012 by Australian entrepreneurs Tim Fung and Jonathan Liu. Anyway, and helps connect people with tasks in Australia, the UK, Ireland, Singapore, the United States, and New Zealand. If you ever do something like this, make sure that you have the ability to get back. Don't rely on somebody else to secure your exit from a location. Airtasker is a platform that connects people who need a task done with people willing to provide the service. Common job postings include everything from admin tasks like filing and data entry to bricklaying, bartending, and tutoring. So for $900, a task is dog sitter and luxury cook. Natalie from West Kensington, London, is looking for a dedicated dog sitter to care for her dog, Lord Beef, while she takes a family vacation, paying $900 for the week. Along with free accommodation in her luxury apartment, the sitter's responsibilities will include feeding Lord Beef freshly cooked evening meals and ensuring he gets plenty of love and exercise.
Now, if you're a dog lover that is a good cook, you should be seriously eyeing this, because this would pay for you to get to London.
And I guess you could take little snippets of food while you're cooking it, right? Because you're not going to be able to eat for that $900.
Well, that's true.
I mean, come on. It's expensive food in London. Anyway, yeah, paying $900 for a week along with free accommodation in her luxury apartment. Yeah. All right. How about Disney Princess Fish Feeder? Sam from Chingford, London, is heading to Greece for 2 weeks with her fiancé and daughter and needs someone to care for her daughter's fish, paying $540 for 2 weeks. Named after Disney princesses Ariel, Moana, Elsa, and Rapunzel, the job includes feeding the fish daily and spending at least 30 minutes each day playing Disney music for them.
Sold. This one sounds much lower effort than the, although the pay is a little lower. But
these are goldfish. You never know when they might delete themselves, right?
Yes, that is a big risk. You don't want the family coming back and like, I don't know what happened. I fed them on schedule and they died.
The daughter brags about how the fish has been alive for 5 years, ever since I was born, and the parents pull you aside and they're like, if any of them get deleted, just find one that's close and drop it back in. We hope that we're going to have these fish live for 18 years.
But since these are Disney themed and they like Disney music, it might be really hard to swap it out, right? Because they put in another one in and they're like, oh no, I don't respond to
That's
Disney music. I only respond to Nickelodeon or something. I don't know. I couldn't think of something else.
SpongeBob.
Or the Minions or franchise or whatever.
Well, it is $5 billion for Despicable Me.
Right.
So care for and ride a champion horse for $640. How about a cat cuddler for $360? Yeah, Susie from Chiswick, UK is going on vacation in the Mediterranean and telling the internet.
Well, that's the part I really don't get here. Like the one up above with the fish is like, I'm going, my fiance is going, and the fiance or maybe their daughter is going, and it's going to be for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And the keys under the mat.
Country. Yeah, exactly.
The job that pays $360 and covers travel expenses involves feeding Tansy, providing company, and giving her plenty of cuddles. While the prices might seem high for these pet-friendly tasks, in December, another pet sitter earned themselves $500 tip after creating an epic video of the owner's pet while they were away. Yeah. All right.
Okay, we might have to look that up separately. It's based on Home Alone.
Moving on. Next article's over in Technology Today. Returns of the Amazombies. Unwanted packages are a retail nightmare. Amazon struck deals with Staples and other retailers to let customers drop off returns. Workers say the flood of Amazombies burdens them with extra work. Oh, it'll work. Okay. So it's an article over in the Washington Post. Amazon returns are cheap and easy for everyone except the workers at Kohl's, Staples, and other retail outlets that have to deal with them. Except if Amazon is paying Kohl's or Staples, and it's part of the duties of the worker, they're doing work anyway for 8 hours out of the day. What's the difference?
I think they normally get paid by time.
Yeah, they can't do more than what their workload is. Obviously, it's abusive if they're like, well, you have to do this and your other regular duties.
That's probably what happened. Like, they probably didn't take away regular duties, and then they get to the end of the shift and they're behind on other things.
Yeah, and that's just asshole big business, you know? And that's why people are unionizing, like a light switch. Walk into the room, turn on the light switch, suddenly you're unionized. That's how fast it's happening nowadays. Why? Because people are being abusive. And it's the stockholders and the executives and the investors, basically, demanding that they basically put abusive policy and practice into effect. And then there's no bargaining power with the employees, so they have to do it, and it just sucks, you know? Anyway, and it's one of the things that I always complain about, and that is I get paid to do work for 8 hours, but 8 hours worth of work. As if you were to sit there and go, let's Six Sigma this business, 8 hours worth of work is X number of hands on this, right? Not, hey, if we get better technology in place, we can double the workload so that you have to do 10 instead of 5, you know? It doesn't make any sense. Technology should make my life easier so I make as much money and I don't have to work harder. It's that I work.
Right. Work smarter, not harder.
So the technology should make it so that you get more done, but it's not that I have to bust my hump. You make more money. I should enjoy the benefits, right? So one of the things that I say is if I can do 8 hours worth of work in 4 hours because I'm competent, then I should have those free 4 hours to do whatever I damn well please, because the workload is what is assigned, not more and more and more until I'm bleeding from my ears and eyes. Anyway, so when Amazon signed deals to turn brick and mortar retail stores into Amazon drop-off points, it was supposed to be a win-win. Easier returns would mean happier customers while bringing more foot traffic into the ailing retail stores. But store employees say that Amazombies have become a plague in their working lives, wasting staff time. They're not wasting anybody's time. You're getting paid. Increasing revenue while wasting staff time without increasing revenue while creating long lines, frayed tempers, and mounting piles of boxes and plastic waste. But all of that is on Amazon and should have been rolled into the bill that Kohl's,
Well,
Staples, and
and
others.
also the receiving company, like they should have struck a deal and it addressed all that. And I don't think it's a problem if they hire more people if they're getting more in return. But the
Right.
question is, are they getting more in return?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of nutty to sit there and say, well, we've had to hire additional staff. That's part of the process. I mean, if you're actually enjoying more people coming in, and you should be enjoying more people, make it so that they are distracted by, pleasant attitude. Oh, but nobody's getting paid enough to be pleasant attitude as an employee, in a grindy kind of a job like working at, Staples.
Well, if you've ever dealt with customers for 8 hours, I'm sure you wouldn't be very happy and shiny.
Well, I hope. Okay, wait. Yeah, I have for a predominant.
I know. I meant that as like just a person.
Yeah, but if you're going to deal with the public, you better be chipper. And not necessarily chipper, but don't be a jerk. And unfortunately, the job doesn't pay enough.
Yeah, but the customers don't get the same message.
No,
they treat the staff like
no, not usually.
Disposable. And yeah.
But the returns of something like an Amazon return is you walk in, they scan it, they give you a receipt, and you walk out.
When the customer knows what they're doing and when they're not being a jerk about it.
Well, yeah, that's true. That always happens. Eventually, I mean, but you always have some jerk. Oh, for crying out loud, I had to, some customer when I was working retail got really upset with me because I wouldn't allow them to do a return, and they got bent out of shape with me because I was following policy and procedure, having no idea that they had a personal issue that was really amplifying their life's discontent. And not until after they left yelling at me, and then ultimately the store manager, did I find out that this person was like famous because of what happened. And then the manager was like, just do it, just to shut them up and get them out of the door. Anyway, but it wasn't my call because it's not my money. So at Staples, the burden of turning Amazombies into Staples customers is on the workers who hand out store coupons between 15% and 20% when they're expected to turn into sales, to Staples workers told the Post. Yeah, but they don't just hand them out. When you get a printout confirming your return, the coupon is on there. It's not like they're tackling them in the aisles on their way out and saying, here's a 15% to 20% coupon. Go buy something.
Right, it's done at the register.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
They do hand a separate coupon, but yes, it's part of the transaction when they're putting a package together.
Oh, every time I've ever gone to Staples for a return, it's been part of the printout, just like the ones at Kohl's. So Joseph Mobley, a former manager at Staples in Tallahassee, who apparently, it says former manager, basically that the implication is like that I quit because of a ... said the company is counting on that to save the business, but many shoppers have moved online permanently. Yeah, they have. Why? Because there's no friction, and I don't have to deal with anybody that's pissed off because they had a bad relationship experience the night before. They're not drunk or stoned or just cranky because they're underpaid and not appreciated. I just read about somebody who quit their job because they hadn't received a salary bump, and they had received a salary bump for every year the previous 30 years. And so they didn't get one, and they asked, and they were denied. And so they went and got another job that paid more and gave them better benefits. And the talent scout that represented that person, because they weren't just mayor of a fictional town online, they had a talent scout representative contact that business and go, hey, you're making it really difficult for me to send talent to you if you don't give them jobs where they're getting increased benefits when you get increased benefits. All they wanted was the pay bump to keep it competitive with living and some appreciation, and they would have stayed. but you didn't offer that until after they gave you 2 weeks, and they were gracious about giving you 2 weeks. So yeah, a little
It's always
appreciation.
interesting. Companies are pretty generous at the point somebody's leaving.
Yeah. And that's happened to me several times where I'm like, look, you're not going anywhere because you're not listening to what I'm saying, and you're not giving me any benefit as you're benefiting. If we all suffered, then sure, but that's not how it works. Anyway, and then at the end, they're like, is there anything we can do to keep you? And I'm like, I guess
yeah,
get in a time
let's
machine.
go back in time. Okay, that's funny.
Amazon spokeswoman Maria Boschetti said that Amazon customers value the convenience of returning products at their local partners, and our partners tell us that operating these programs boost their businesses. So boom, done. I guess that's going to stay.
Well, nobody wants to tick off Amazon, right? I mean, that is bringing in a lot of business and probably opens up for other partnerships. And even if they convert only a small percentage of those customers, those are people that weren't walking in the door before that.
Yep. Yeah. So they say that we're the ones that get yelled at. Employees are. Look, Amazombies. Look, you're referring to customers, potential customers, as Amazombies. I think the problem lies in the fact that you're referring to people
maybe
who
not
are
cut out for customer service.
Yeah, really.
Although I do think the name is funny.
I think it's funny too. All right. Well, there's more for this article, but the nuts and bolts of it are that it's increasing people coming into stores. They need to pivot them from just a return to the potential of buying something in the store. I definitely look around, depending on which one I go into. Like, I don't really buy anything from Kohl's unless it's a tactical strike. And my returns are normally 1 or 2 at a time. I'm definitely not one of the Amazombies. I think it's usually on the other way around.
Something not to strive for.
Yeah. I think it's usually, for me, my experience is the other way around. The person on the other side of the counter is like, I hate my life. I don't like being here. Why are you
right,
in front
and
of
it's being projected onto the customer.
Yeah, for sure. So I try and be as pleasant as possible. So we're the ones that are getting yelled at, said Walker, a Dallas UPS store employee. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is not acceptable.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that Amazon is the problem because there's a rude customer.
Yep. Let's keep moving. You can follow the link and read more of the minutiae in there, but I hope that we teased you into going over to the article and checking it out. This next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. This is what office towers could look like due to hybrid working. HSBC's London office will get a radical makeover due to hybrid working when the bank leaves its Canary Wharf HQ in 2027. The tower will become a multi-use building. The project shows how property owners are trying to adapt buildings for a changing work pattern. Commercial property values have been hit hard as workers continue to shun offices following the pandemic. So what is it going to look like? That's no way that's going to look like that. What? No way. All green and stuff like that, 60 stories up? Yeah, no way in hell.
That's a render.
Yeah, we're talking about reality hacking. So HSBC's London office will get a radical makeover due to hybrid working when the bank leaves its Canary Wharf headquarters in 2027. The project shows how property owners will adapt. So the rise of hybrid work means that many companies now have largely empty office buildings that are worth far less than what they were just a few years ago. And that's something that I don't quite get. There's always new properties being built, right? Butts in seats doesn't necessarily mean productivity. It actually just imposes a burden on people's personal life because you don't get paid to travel from and to work. So if you can go virtual, you've got a happier workforce. The property should be used for something else. I mean, the life and times of today, the property should still remain what the property is worth. Just because it's empty doesn't really mean anything, because somebody wants to be in there. They either have to pay for a new building to be built, or they lease it from somebody. So why not pivot it so that it's used?
Well, some of it's zoning problems, but and some of it's, do they want to invest the money to convert properties into some other use case, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I get that. One second.
But I mean, that makes sense because
we do everything live here. So yeah.
I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, really. So I get why, I do get why property values would decline, but the reason why it would decline is because there's an overabundance of properties that shouldn't have existed if you would have allowed not property values, but people to telework, So in a hybrid work environment where people can come and go, you still need that office space for peak operation times. But if you're getting as much money and all of that, then why do you need that property to begin with? If you're allowing your workers to work remote, all that was an artificial effect on the value of the property. So we don't need more offices. We need more condos. We need more real estate.
Right. We need more affordable living space. I think there's probably more behind the scenes. Like, I suspect companies promote. Well, yeah, I think companies probably promote, though, the occupancy rate when they're trying to secure other loans, etc.
Right.
I think there's just some other aspects. The other thing is the companies probably want to have multiple properties, so then they have more potential for write-offs, etc.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? So they're going to be modifying this thing so that it has like living spaces and a commercial area complete with water feature, and a spiral red staircase for pedestrians is also planned, and it's going to have terraces cut out with gardens and a viewing platform and even a rooftop bar. I don't like the idea of anything being carved out, but okay. But if it looks like this, I think this is going to be kind of amazing. This looks more render AI than anything.
It looks very high end. Like, it looks like an expensive project if it looks like that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I love the idea of it. But the deal with this is what used to be valued office space is going to be artificially constrained to jack up the price instead of making it livable space, renting it out, leasing it out, or utilizing it in a more effective way to be livable, versus doing this to make it a high end and a commercial, artificially constrained, irrationally expensive location. But that's what it looks like it's going to be. It says that office occupancy rates remain at like record lows, pushing down the value of corporate real estate and causing interest rates to spike. The situation is a train wreck in slow motion for the real estate sector, according to, I don't know who, Stin van Nieuwerburg, a Columbia Business School real estate professor. But again, this is all because it's constrained to maximize profits, which is sociopathic behavior. You could produce all kinds of stuff at a lower rate and still make money, but that's not what happens.
True, but nobody wants to take the hit on whatever they were getting in revenue before, right?
Right.
Like, if they were charging top dollar when the demand was high, they don't want to drop things, and they already have all these properties under their portfolio.
Yeah, they always want to make 6 times because that's what they got a taste of at some point, because there was enough money in the system that people were willing to take the hit to get that level, right? Oh, I want to buy this house now, and I made enough money where I could do it. But it's because some people are willing to do it that they think that everybody is willing to do it and capable of doing it, and it's just not the way it is. But you know what? Screw everybody else, as long as I get mine, right?
I mean, that's the way to succeed in business, I suppose.
Yeah. Then they talk about 15-minute cities,
which we've talked about in previous articles.
Yeah, involves developing neighborhoods where residents can work, shop, and play within 15-minute foot journey, bike or public transport ride from where they live. So wherever you go, if you walk 15 minutes, you've got work, food, and play. And if you if you bike 15 minutes, you're still within range of something else 15 minutes, work, shop, play, and public transport. I think it would be great. I love this kind of thing. But, I want these circle cities, where everything radiates from a central point and you have the entire community and it has everything. Like it has vertical farming in it. It has power generation in it. It has, all of the accoutrement that is necessary for a society. And that's kind of how you get it in certain places, right? Like you go to a big city and there's little Italy and little China and little this and little that. And that's because they become like cultural
kind of a self-sufficient community. Yeah, probably large cities like New York in some ways actually do this, but a lot of places do not. I think one problem is there's so much existing infrastructure and there was not a lot of urban planning in many locations. And I applaud these efforts, but I think some of these are massive undertakings because they're almost like reconfiguring the whole traffic flow or infrastructure or just other things that are already in place.
True. And I'm sure that greed has nothing to do with it. Moving on. Next article is over in the Mobile Channel. 15 cities that make more money from parking tickets than anywhere in America. Let's jump straight on over to the source. It's over at qz.com, and Eric King from Jalopnik actually put the article together. Cities from coast to coast use the millions of dollars from tickets to close gaps in municipal budgets. It's published over at Quartz, but they've got a picture of a sign that says, "Don't even think of parking here." Yikes. It is a slideshow, so I'll list the slides. So number 16 on the slides is number 1 on the list, where they make just shy of $101 per capita.
Wait, that is exorbitant, right? Because
San Jose,
even though every person's not getting, go ahead.
San Jose is only making $11 per capita. So you tell me.
Well, that's also interesting because if that's, let's say, the top 15, that is a huge range.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's all like mega cities, right? So Baltimore, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Boston, New York, all make $60 or more. And it jumps like $10, $20 between New York. The top 5 are 83, 97, 98, 99. I'm rounding up by 20 cents. And then I'm rounding up again 20 cents to 101 Baltimore. So, yeah, pretty expensive.
Well, it's also interesting given these are, like you said, they're high population cities. So if that's the amount per capita, think of the volume of traffic tickets that must be given in these cities. Like it's got to be something like 1,000 tickets a day or just something ridiculous. I have no idea what the actual number would be.
Yeah, and they make more money from parking tickets. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I will say ohmTown has contributed to some of these figures in some of the lists.
In several of the, yeah. That's kind of, the title is weird because it doesn't say more money from parking tickets than anywhere in America. But
isn't that basically AKA the top highest per capita parking ticket rates per city, right, or something like that? Right.
This could have been spelled out differently to explain what it, more than what?
Yeah.
Oh, more than other cities.
Yeah. It's so basically the top 15. I didn't say it very succinctly, but yeah, I think the headline's a little confusing.
Yeah. Okay, let's just keep going. You'll have to, because there is, nobody really cares about the minutia of this, just the fact that some cities charge an arm and a leg.
What is the rule here or the takeaway? Be careful when parking in these cities. I mean, if you're benefiting from the revenues coming in, all right, like you're a resident and you have a high tourism population, then maybe you like this.
I think that's where the juice is. Yeah. Yeah. When it has a huge population density and massive tourism, that's where the prices
right.
are
Who's
really
getting
high.
ticketed, right? The residents probably know where to avoid where there's a high ticketing location.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I was surprised to see San Diego so low. It has a large tourist business, but it doesn't have high population density compared to New York or.
No, but I think it has pretty aggressive parking enforcement, particularly near locations like beaches.
Sure. Yeah, but it's just, I think it pales in comparison to something like Manhattan.
Oh, correct. I mean, I'm sure it's not even, well, obviously the numbers aren't even in the same ballpark.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's keep going. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Sick of being asked to jump through hoops and job applications? Good news, you might start getting paid for your time. Alexandra Bacon over at businessinsider.com put the article together.
I don't know about you, but I will believe this when it happens.
Yeah, really. So if you have to complete more time-consuming tests in order to impress employers, and some employers are starting to compensate your candidates for these tests, but with the power in employers' hands, there's little incentive for this to become the norm. Yeah, I don't see this actually happening. Basically, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I've had somebody say, hey, you need to do this because we've given you an opportunity. And I told that person's compatriot that they can kiss my shiny metal ass if they think that I'm going to jump through a hoop. You know, they ask me to be the employee. So you must see something in me, right? So respect me as an employee and a person. Well, yeah, anyway. So Michelle Tran was one of the lucky ones to find a job she enjoyed fresh out of college in 2022. Why does that person's name sound familiar? She worked in the digital marketing role for around a year before personal reasons led her to quit. But when she went looking for her next role, she found the job market a lot tougher. A year later, she's still out of work. Jesus. Tran's been applying for jobs as a job in itself. She put together a schedule where she applies for 30 jobs a month. Yeah, the economy's doing frickin' great, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, watch those indices.
Yep. Much of her time ends up being spent on hours-long work demonstration tests. It's very time-consuming, but I try to give myself the weekends off if I can. Jeez, a year. Yeah, no wonder OnlyFans is booming. No wonder people are becoming, what do they call it? Influencers.
Like influencers, on TikTok. Right. I mean, it's out of necessity.
Although I know people that started out later than me and have made partner and stuff like that, doing less. So there's always some like chemistry kind of a thing, or the topic that they're talking about is the key ingredient. So it's really possible. But trying to get a job and it's taking you a year, brutal. So it's the respectful thing to do to compensate you for this work on the project. She told Business Insider one agency gave her a $90 gift card for completing a 2-hour hiring test, which makes her hourly 40 hours or $40 an hour, $45 an hour. So adding that it's a huge green flag for the company gives you a good perspective on how the company might treat you when if you like working there. So the power remains in the hands of the employers. Yeah. And there's no bargaining power. You can't sit there and say, yeah, I'll do the hiring thing if you pay me. They won't do it, and they'll treat it as, well, you're not a team player. Right?
Yeah, but that's interesting because it's one thing to send in a resume or something. It's another to be taking tests or something to try to get a job, because that is a lot more time intensive. But I agree. Why do the employers have any incentive to pay for that?
Yeah, they don't. And just so you know, things like marketing, things like software engineering, they typically put you through demonstration hoops that you know what you're talking about, and it isn't ChatGPT. So the employer's perspective is they want to know if you have form and function. You know, do you fit with the company, and can you actually do what you say you can do?
I mean, from a company standpoint, that makes sense. It's pretty tough on the candidates. And I think it's one thing when you have to jump through those hoops, but you get the job. It's another when you're having to jump through those hoops repeatedly, like this person.
Yep. So experts say that it's probably not going to become the norm anytime soon, and that's probably because there isn't any requirement to do so, and they're not going to spend any money on a potential hire if they don't have to. So it's rather abusive, I think, to not compensate somebody if you're going to make them work an hour to demonstrate their skills. Yeah, should pay me a premium because I've met some requirement.
I mean, they could possibly pay people that end up getting hired, like they'd compensate that time only if you got hired or something. I mean, that might be kind of a middle ground.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. Last article for Non Sequitur News today. It's over in Technology Today. GPs use AI to boost cancer detection rates in England by 8%. So, see the signs. Artificial intelligence program scans medical records to increase likelihood of spotting cancers. The rate of cancer detection rose 58.7% to 66% at GP practices. Using the See the Signs AI tool, this analyzes. Sorry. I thought that it was a
I thought it was
plural.
a typo, but I think it's because it's British.
It analyzes a patient's records. I thought they were saying that the analysis, plural analyses. But anyway, the analysis of a patient's records to pull together the past medical history, test results, prescriptions, and treatments, as well as other personal characteristics that might indicate cancer risk, such as postcode, age, family history. It's a more holistic investigation into the person. And with more information comes more, and really cancer detection is a guess until there's a physical manifestation therein. So, and usually that's in blood work or something physical is showing, like a lump or some type of pain somewhere. The rate of cancer detection rose 8% following this. See the Signs is used in about 1,400 practices in England, about 15%, and was tested in 35 practices in the east of England in May 2021, covering a population of 420,000 patients.
I like that, right? They didn't test it with 2 records and go, okay, this is good.
And they didn't roll it out to everybody, and then you get false positives or negatives or CrowdStrike. Bakshi and her colleagues also sought to validate the tool by assessing 118,677 patients in a previous study, which found that 7,300 were diagnosed with cancer and 7,056 were successfully identified by the algorithm. So there was an under count, but if the algorithm can detect 240 shy of who were actually diagnosed, then
probably better than physicians only.
Yeah. So where the tool came to the conclusion that it was unlikely a patient did have cancer, only 239 out of 8,453 went on to have a confirmed cancer diagnosis within 6 months, about 2.8%. Not bad, but you don't want to be one of the false negatives. They actually developed the tool after meeting a patient in hospital who had been given a late diagnosis of pancreatic cancer and died 3 weeks later, which is a real shit thing. Because if you feel like you have it, I think that it's really important to allay those fears, not by just doing this haphazard kind of a scan. You need to do a deeper investigation into it. Does it cost a little more and may end up still being negative? Yeah. But a late diagnosis because they didn't assess properly. Anyway, stayed with me as a problem. Why are patients with cancer being diagnosed so late? Probably because it doesn't.
One reason.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
One reason is that they don't have actual screening tests for a lot of cancer types.
Right.
Like there is not a specific screening. You have to kind of cobble together and go, oh, symptoms are off. Oh, maybe we need to do scans. It's kind of a patchwork.
Yeah. So many cancers are actually they're deep inside the body that can't be directly observed. They can't be sampled or tested in any real way, regular way. Prostate cancer, you can't check easily. Colon cancer, you can't check easily. Anything having to do with liver or kidney function, you can't test easily. It's all blood work indicators, and then biopsies, and other cancers go without any indication until they affect some physical function. And then it
there's
can be
also
away.
A problem that people in certain age ranges or lifestyles don't even get screened at all, regardless of whether there's a specific test. And that's another problem with the healthcare system.
Yeah, and they actually talk about it here to some degree. They say, we know that a lot of cancers present with vague symptoms and some are difficult to define and don't necessarily correlate with our guidelines. And that's because we really don't know anything about cancer. Although, I think in one of our, it might be in Technology Today, later today, where they've found a key genetic trigger. So we'll end up talking about it later. So they say the test was positive. He was referred and he turned out to have a colorectal cancer, which was diagnosed early and treated successfully. He's fine. But if we'd follow the rigid guidelines, he may not have gotten referred for several months. And that where cancer is involved, unless you absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt that it's a slow activity cancer, time, weeks, make a massive difference. The person that got a late diagnosis, 2 weeks earlier, the diagnosis could have been just as advanced, but they schedule it in time to remove it and give them treatment and chemo and radiation and basically obliterate everything in them to get all of it out. But that's what happens. That's what we need to do now, at least until we are more progressive and we treat it with genetic modification.
Right, or we have more effective, like we develop cancer cures, or we have cancer vaccines.
Yep. Aliens. Okay. Well, anyway, we're gonna turn off the. I don't know. I couldn't come up with something fast enough. We're gonna go back to the front page of ohmTown, and we'll call it a day for non sequitur news, and then we're gonna reset. And our next show is going to be Reality Hacker. That's pretty much our typical flow for Saturday, and then we'll move over to the Sunday shows. That's how we used to treat it. Now we do all of the shows on Sunday in rapid fire. So give me about 10 minutes and we'll reset. So stick around either in chat or once you get the announcement, come on back and we'll be talking about Reality Hacker News. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI.
Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back shortly. We have several more shows for you.
Bye-bye. I'm going to go get some free coffee because I made it downstairs.